Good evening and welcome to this edition of MWR Experts Live. Mike Randolph here, coming to you directly from MWR's New England regional office right here in southern New Hampshire. Before we get started this evening, I just want to remind everyone that this session is for the education and training of our marketing directors and members and is not intended for distribution to the public. Reproduction of all or any portion of tonight's session is strictly prohibited. We will be discussing information regarding our memberships and our rewards and revenue sharing plan. Please be aware that any projections or testimonials shared this evening are for illustration purposes and are not intended to serve as a guarantee of results. For more information, please visit mwrfinancial.com. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into things. I'm going to stop this screen share. I got to turn my own camera on so you guys can see the fact that I am in uniform tonight. You guys can see, very proud. You guys got to wear your bling. You know, there's a shopping link in your back office. I got to get everybody up to date on a couple of things before we go to our special guest this evening. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to go live to MWR's webpage, and we're going to take a look at some new things that just popped up today. We let our field leaders know this, but I want to make sure everyone's aware. We've got some new FAQ, or frequently asked questions documents, that have been uploaded so that you can download them. I turn my camera off so I don't block any part of the screen. All you guys need to do, and gals, is go log into your back office, and we're going to log into my demo site. Once you're in the business center, all you have to do is go up here to Toolbox, click on the Toolbox, scroll down to where it says Training, very logical place for some training, and then scroll down this page. You'll see the Fast Start system and all these cool supporting documents. But what I want to point out to you is right here. This is a brand new section that is in your back office. It's MWR Strategies FAQs. Now, all of our services are really financial strategies, and we want to share the FAQs with you so you don't have to contact the support team. You don't have to go cruising around the website looking for stuff. You can just jump right in here, and these are great to answer your prospects' questions as well as for training your new marketing directors and etc. We have the MWR Fundable 360 frequently asked questions. Just click on that. It's going to jump right in to this PDF document. Don't worry, you guys don't need to see it. I'm sure the print's super small for you, but you can see there's page after page of information. The Fundable 360 document is great. It starts out, what steps should I take before my initial consultation? What work will I need to perform during the process? How long does the process take? What if I don't have the $29.95 to start? Other than the $29.95, are there other expenses that I should consider? What is an EIN? What is Business Credit Bureau? And it goes on and on, educates you about the entire system. If you are considering, and I encourage everyone to, if you're considering using this service in this program, go through this document. But before you have your consultation, it's going to make a whole lot more sense, and you're going to spend a whole lot less time on the phone with that concierge because you're going to have all the fundamentals already in place. Now, if there are questions that you have that aren't on here, contact our support team. And if it's something worthy to go on this document, they'll have us add it and we'll update this document. Also, we have the precious metals FAQs, same kind of scenario. Regarding purchasing precious metals, how do I purchase them? Can I make monthly purchases? Which metals should I purchase? How do I learn more about the advantages of purchasing precious metals, et cetera, et cetera? How much do they cost? What's the minimum purchase? All of these very common questions regarding purchasing, regarding storage in the precious metals depository, and regarding some precious metal leasing. I know you guys have questions about that. What is it? What are the rates? Are my metals protected? Am I able to withdraw them? Can I use these metals for other things? And then we have a more information section. Who do I contact if I have questions? What's a ratio player? You guys have heard that getting thrown around. We have it explained right here exactly what it is. What does fungible mean? That's kind of a new word for a lot of us. I know it was for me. What does that mean? Can I schedule a consultation, et cetera, et cetera? You'll find all that information here. Also, and again, this information, we're going to be updating it from time to time. And when we do update these and add more, we'll let you know on these Thursday Expert Lives, as well as we'll send out notifications when these documents are updated so that you're able to get there, download them. You can print them out. This is on the web page, obviously, but you can print them right from your browser if you want. And I encourage you to do that so you have them with you. If anybody asks questions, you can just refer to that document. All right, let's go ahead and stop that screen share. I'll put my camera back on. We have a great call lined up for you guys tonight, or should I say live stream? Can we even say call anymore? When was the last time you actually just made a call? It's been a long time for me. Even when we're talking on our cell phones, we're technically not making a phone call anymore. We're talking over a digital infrastructure, and we're not on copper wires anymore. We're talking through the air, just like Star Trek. But we've got some special guests that have joined us tonight. We're going to have an absolute blast. And I know it was promised. We're going to share with you the phrase that pays in 4 ways. And it's a no-brainer. We've cooked this thing down to a couple essential elements. Your recruiting, your training, everything. In fact, you're going to see a live recruiting session and a live training session tonight. And it's going to take, well, just a few minutes. So we're going to turn things over to our, excuse me, our real host for the evening. This gentleman, as I've shared before, but I have to sing his praises. He's been in the financial services industry for more than 3 decades. He absolutely is one of the most brilliant people that I know. 16 years, he and I have worked together off and on over the years. And it's funny, we had a gap. We had a big gap this last time, and we just picked up where we left off. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. Um, if we lived closer than 3,000 miles apart, I'd have him watch my kids, my grandkids, my dog. That's probably even scarier than letting someone watch your money. He's that kind of guy. He's very trustworthy, a great business builder. He's built 5-figure teams, well, in his sleep practically. So pay attention to what he's talking about. He's a master motivator, a master storyteller, and he just happens to be MWR's managing partner. That is the one and only, your friend and mine, the irrepressible, unbelievable Mr. Adamo Tolson. Adamo, good evening, buddy. How are you?
Man, I am doing absolutely tremendous. It's exciting to be here because I'm just excited to share this phrase that pays in 4 ways. That to me is everything. So I'm super excited. I want to thank you, Mike, for just that incredible, just with all the things you said about me. I next time I'm going to make sure my wife is sitting right here so I can say, "See who you're married to." I will make sure of that, Mike. I also have to give a lot of credit to you because so many things you do behind the scenes, just like getting the FAQs all together and kind of put together in that way. Uh, it goes unnoticed, but it's not unnoticed by the rest of the MWR corporate staff. You are essential. We appreciate you big time. And I thank you, my friend, for what we're going to win. You actually are instrumental. So I'm going to give you some more credit in what we're going to talk about now, because Mike and I were talking a lot about, along with our great CEO, Mr. Brian House, talking a lot about just different phrases. And we used, how I used to hear me say phrase that pays and different things that someone could say to attract people and have them kind of take a listen. Then someone who I'm going to have fun bringing up tonight, because we're going to share with me. He doesn't even realize it, but I'm going to have him come up here and I'm going to I'm going to recruit him. Not try, but I will recruit him. But he even had some ways to help people understand what MWR is in a phrase. So what we've done is, so we're talking, and then Mike, all of a sudden we're going back and forth with different things and different things that have been put out. And then Mike just It was like a tweak here, tweak there. Then he came up with the perfect to me, no brainer. You cannot, no one will say no. So I want you all right now for a moment just to put on those real that hat that just I'm gonna say no to everything. And I know I'm ready to say no. I'm at the jump of just I'm gonna say no. I know I'm gonna say no because I say no to everything. And I want you to tell me in that sort of mindset, I want you to take yourself there for a moment. And I want you to tell me if you can say no to this question. So I'm going to make sure I get it right because it's right here, but I just want to do it because I love this question is powerful. If there was a way to accumulate $500,000 in precious metals in 5 years and your net cost was zero, would you want to know more? Come on. You already know. You want to say no, but you can't. You're like, yes. You just cannot say no to that. That is the most powerful phrase that I've ever witnessed in this industry, and it speaks exactly to what someone can have happen here with MWR. So, with that being said, here's what I want to do. I want to bring up my good friend, who literally is one of the top business leaders and visionaries, just anywhere in the country today, in the world today, really, because he does things all over the world. Um, what I love about him specifically is that his approach to success, life and success in his own world is a hands-on approach because he has world experience. He went through this in his own ascent to the top. So you're not talking to someone who's never been where you are, and then they're trying to talk to you about something that they can't relate to. No, he's been there. He's gotten from what they have. I think there's a song I'll call "From the Bottom to the Top." He's done that, all right, and he's mentored so many others, including myself, to make that same climb. And what I appreciated about this gentleman is that he's trained over 5 million sales professionals all over the world. And literally, he continues to transfer his sales and marketing strategies to thousands of people every single week. So I want you to understand this gentleman has not only a tremendous amount of experience in the financial services world before transitioning to being a business consultant, his own business consulting practice, but he's someone who is he's a very, very dear friend of our families. So this is not just like a friend, because even Mike and I, how much we're friends. Well, Butch and I, our families, we go to birthday dinners and celebrations. We do things as a family together. So it's a very dear friend, and he has been cheering Ryan House and myself on all along the way of MWR. Always speaking life to me, always encouraging me, always seeing the real positive power of MWR. So he's watched us all the way through this last 8 years. And I've been able to watch him develop and impact so many people and so many business owners to literally take them from where they might thought that they were going to lose their business to turn that business around and have it profitable and successful for them. So I've seen him do it over and over and over again. And as great of a business leader that he is, as great of an entrepreneur that he is, and he's elite. He is an elite entrepreneur. What he is, he's even a better human being and a better person. Because if you saw his daughters and his wife, and you saw the kind of family he literally has, and the way he's raised that family, and to do all that he does, but still be there for them and make sure those times are important and nurtured. I can't think of anybody else I'd rather try to recruit, number one, because you always want to recruit. What up? I always want to go with someone who I think has influence, who I think can really move the needle and the dial. And I think it would be really good to have you guys hear me bring up the great CEO, if you will, of I should say the expert. That's what I'll call it, the expert of MWR Fundable 360, none other than Mr. Butch Chalaya. Butch?
Hey, good afternoon. It's well, I'm a little speechless after that, but thank you kindly for the wonderful, wonderful words. Very humbled.
Yes. Well, Butch, I know you're a little bit going, okay, Andama, we didn't talk about this before. We've both been busy going, I'm just throwing you to the wolves, if you will, but you can handle it. I know you can. Butch, what I wanted to do because we have a phrase that pays in 4 ways. You just heard me say it. If there was a way I could show you how to accumulate, if there was a way for you to accumulate $500,000 in precious metals over the next 5 years at zero cost to you, would you want to know more? Is that something you'd want to know about?
Absolutely. And I'm not
Yeah,
just saying
absolutely.
that because it's the right thing to say. I did put on my negative hat and my pessimist hat, and I still couldn't say no to that.
Yeah, you can't say no to that. It's like, okay, yes. How does it work? And so, Butch, what I want to do today is I want to take you as just someone who said, well, yeah, how do you do it? And I just want to kind of show you with the numbers. Now, we had a gentleman, just so you know, Butch, that literally went out and was doing a presentation, MWR presentation, and one of our QMDs. And what he did is he talked to me and he told me that he kind of changed the presentation. He thought he might get in a little trouble. I hope you don't mind that I changed the presentation. I said, no, what did you do? And he said, well, I kind of made it focus on MWR precious metals, MWR fundable 360. We talked specifically about that. And then I just tied it to precious metals, that path to wealth. And then I showed them our illustrator that I'm going to show here in just a moment with you. And from that, he said I had 27 people on the call. At the end, 26 were completely engaged, and now you have people ready to get going. Some people have already made their appointments, scheduled their appointments. People are starting to join. This all happened, and he said prior to that, he was having 4 and 5 people on his call. So he was really, really excited, and I said, no, there's no, you move forward. It's okay to adjust and do those things. So what I wanted to do in the spirit of what he talked about, in the spirit of this phrase that pays, I want to show you, Butch, how you're going to get paid in 4 ways on that one phrase. Is that okay for you?
I love it. Let's do it.
All right, Butch. And then what I'm going to do, rather than do the whole presentation, and I might do a little presentation in advance, I'm taking you right to the illustrator. We're going to go right there. So let me see if I can share my screen. You know, 3rd grade was the best 3 years of my life, and okay. Let me see here. I think this is the one, because this is the last one I pulled up. I believe it is. Okay, great. Share. Boom. I think I did it. Did I share it? Do you see my screen, Butch?
I do.
Okay, fantastic. Well, this is the MWR Ultimate Leverage Illustrator. And Butch, what I want to do is I want to walk you through this process. And I want you, because I've already piqued your interest that, hey, show me how to do this. So Butch, I'm about to show you exactly how this process works. So you understand how you're going to be able to acquire these metals over a 5-year period of time. Is that okay?
For sure.
Okay. So Butch, first we have this, and here's how you do it where you have zero net cost to you. We have a program in our company, Butch. It's called MWR Fundable 360. And what we do is we help people get corporate funding or business credit and funding. And we do that in a way where we have the experts that work with you. This is a work with you program. But what they do is they know the answers to the test. They know how to get everybody funded, how to make it all happen. They know exactly what the banks are going to ask for, what they're going to look for. They know where the pitfalls are, and they make sure you avoid them. They make sure you are structured in a way that you get approved. So that way takes 3 to 4 or 5 months for many, because they're just kind of getting started. Some people that have businesses already and they want to go a little faster and show some things that they want to show, they can do it quickly. And then others, if they're not contributing and kind of staying on top because they got life happening and all kind of stuff, and they're not speaking to you regularly or taking those calls regularly, it may take them 6 to 9 months. But Butch, let me ask you a question. If I could show you how to phase 1 of this process, well, let me do it this way. If I could show you, go back to the question, if I could show you a way to accumulate $500,000 in metals within 5 years, and it was zero cost to you, and phase 1 took 3, 4, 5, 6 months, would that be okay with you?
Yeah, I don't believe you can do it, but please keep going.
Okay. Well, it can. I'm gonna have this other guy named Butch Chalaya. He may talk to you about why this can happen, but I'm just letting you know overall it can happen. And again, part of what we do in the structuring is we make sure, or we put you in a position where you may not need personal guarantee, you may not need to prove income, you may not need to show any collateral, and you won't even have to show what you're using the money for. So there's no proof of funds requirement. But to do all of those things, you have to follow this path very specifically so the banks can look at you in that way. So there's a structure. That's why we have to go through this process, and it takes 3, 4, 5 months. You okay in phase one? Okay, you're on mute still. I see your mouth moving, but your phone is mute. There you go.
Makes sense. Yeah. It's
All right.
money I didn't
So
have
let's say here's what we're looking to do. Let's say our initial goal, because they talk about one of the floors with that expert when you talk to them, one of the floors that where they look at is the kind of the floor is $50,000. Their funding can go well beyond that, but the floor is kind of 50,000. So what I'm going to do is just keep this conservative and say your initial funding is going to be $50,000. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Okay. And let me put it in the right place. 50,000. Okay. Now, Butch, I want to talk to Butch Chalaya for a moment. Not Butch, my buddy. Butch Chalaya, the head of MWR Fundable 360. What is a interest rate conservatively that I can put in here that you believe, is pretty typical for what you've seen in your career?
Well, they're offering anything between, 6 to 13% right now. So I would say 8% is a good average.
Okay, 8%. Okay. So I'm going to put 8%. Okay. And then I'm going to say what we're going to do, because Butch, I understand Mr. Butch Chalaya, once you get this done and you get started and you stay with the program and you still engage with the team that you have, the concierge team, there's ongoing and perpetual funding. Am I correct with that?
100%.
100%. And I didn't have to, all the things I had to do in the very beginning, that I only had to do it one time, and then it's taken care of from that point forward.
And Damo, banks are in the business of lending money. The moment you can show that you qualify, they'll keep re-qualifying you over and over again. That's how they stay in business.
That's a very true statement. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to put another $50,000. So we're just going to keep it conservative, that we're just going to, every single year, we're going to add $50,000 to the equation. Let me do this 1, 2. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We call these the levers. This is lever number 1, and this is leverage. Okay, so we're going to take this first lever, and we're going to leverage this MWR Fundable 360 to acquire the capital that I need. So I now have money that can make money for me. Does that make sense?
For sure.
Okay, now if I look at lever number 2, what I'm going to do, because we talked about our precious metals, and I'm saying, assuming you saw the whole presentation, we talked about our precious metals. So I'm going to say, you're going to take the 50,000 over here, that initial funding, and you're going to purchase $50,000 in precious metals. And they're going to be in the depository. You're going to get a receipt for it, and it's going to be ready for our leasing contracts. It's now that let's say they're available now, and our leasing contracts, and right now they're going between 1 and 2%. So let's say I put it in the middle. Would it be okay to kind of middle that and call it 1.5%?
For sure.
Okay. And Butch, this 1.5% is a 1.5% return on a monthly basis. Okay. Now, let's say additionally, every year, I'm going to take this additional 50,000 that we had over here, and I'm just going to apply it here, because every year I'm going to acquire another $50,000 worth of metals. Okay, we're good so far, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, Butch, you can go look this up on Google. You can check it out. over the next 5 years, and this is lever number 3. So these are all leverage. Everything I'm doing right now, Butch, is leveraging, because leverage is the key to success. Wealthy people, it's their favorite word, it's their favorite thing to do, and it's to take advantage of leverage. So all we're doing right now is we're leveraging the fact that you have an MWR membership that gives you access to acquire, or you are part of MWR, so you know about MWR Fundable 360. It gives you an ability to acquire this funding. Then, Butch, what happens is, because you are a member of MWR, you now are going to have the ultimate leverage of being able to take your precious metals that normally are just a store of value, they're like a savings account, and be able to get a return, a rate of return on them every single month. And that's another form of leverage at 1.5%. So instead of your metals just sitting there and they kind of go in value over time, you get to see a monthly return on them. And then lever number 3 is talking about that appreciating in value over time. Now, this lever and this level of leverage, if you look at Google right now, they're going to say somewhere in that 50 to 75% range that they expect metals to increase over the next 5 years. So what I'm going to do, Butch, is I'm just going to take it in the middle and say, if it did 12% a year times 5 years, that'd be 60%. Okay, so I'm going to use the number 12. But here's what I want you to see, and we're going to go over this real quickly here. But at the start, we had the $50,000. So do you recall how we got the 50,000, Butch?
Yes.
How did we get them?
You got it through corporate credit.
Through corporate credit, absolutely. So that's leverage. We leverage the ability to structure ourselves to get corporate credit. Now, the monthly rate of return on that, on the $50,000 worth of metals that you acquire, is $750 a month. Okay, that's that 1.5% a month. Then the cost of the fund at 8% is going to run about $333 a month. Are we good so far?
Sure.
Then what happens, you're going to see this monthly profit of over $416 and some change. And Butch, what that shows is, if you take this monthly profit times 12, that's about $5,000. Okay, so here's what happens. If you take the appreciation of 12%, which is now takes the metals from 50,000 to 56,000, and then you add about the $5,000 in monthly profits, because you decide, I want to take my profits in metals or acquire more metals. Now at the end of year 1, you have $61,000 worth of metals. Follow me so far?
I do.
Now we're going to take this 61,000, we're going to add it to the 50,000 in year number 2, because remember, every year we're just going to get another $50,000 in metals.
Right.
Which, let me ask you a question. Once the funding starts to happen and I'm making the payments on time, does that help me get more funding?
You couldn't stop it at that point. They'll make you offers every day.
Every day. So, Butch, it's not like it would take me a whole year to get another 50,000. So am I being really conservative by saying a year later you do another 50,000 in precious metals?
So there's 2 things you're super conservative with. Number 1, it's not another 50, because after you've proven yourself in the first 50, you're probably going to see 200 as the second round of funding, right? Because that's what banks want to do. The moment you can show that you can perform, they want to give you more of it to see if you can even perform even at that level. And it doesn't take a year to do that. You're talking maybe another 3 months.
Another thing. So, okay, so it can go. So I'm being super, super conservative in this example then. Okay, so I'm going to stay super, super conservative. Only 50, and I'm going to take 50, and I'm going to put that, even though I might have more funding, I'm going to get $50,000 worth of metals again. Then, because that's all I did, I was running a specific path to success, and I'm conservative, so I'm being conservative. I now have a rate of return of $1,600 a month, but I have to make the payment, which is now costing me a little over $650 a month on that payment. The profits, if I subtract this from this is my monthly profits, almost $1,000 a month. If I take that $1,000 a month and I go over 12 months, that's like $12,000. Well, if my metals went from 111,000, just the value, the appreciation, this is lever number 3. and I leveraged this now gone to $124,000 in value. Remember that 12% we talked about?
Yes.
So that's what where this number comes from. Then because this is 1,000 times 12, if you will, is 12,000. Now I'm at 136,000. Okay. So all I'm doing is taking this 136 and change, and I'm adding another $50,000 to it. You see, and so then year 3 is going to roll out the same way. At the end of year 3, I'm showing $230,000 worth of metals, and I've taken that $50,000 again and adding it to year 4. Year 4, you can see the breakdown of what the overall profits are monthly, what the payment is monthly, what the net profit is monthly, and then what the appreciation is at the end of year 4, and what the total value is at the end of year 4. As we get to year 5, Butch, do you see you're sitting right at $500,000 in metals?
Yes, sir.
Now, Butch, let me ask you a question. How much of your work, in terms of your effort, you're going to work every day to have your income, whatever income you have that's taking care of your current lifestyle, how much of that did I say we used?
None.
None. Because all we did was we used the bank's money, correct?
Lever number 1.
We use the bank money every single year. We never used your hard-earned money that you were working for. So, Butch, that's where we talk about the leverage. So we leverage the bank's money to acquire an income-producing asset that's generating by year 5, in this example, of a 1.5% a month. So we're not going crazy. We're being really conservative, 1.5% a month of over almost $6,000 a month. But then even after I make the payment back to the bank, and because I'm making a payment back to the bank, they keep, like you said, giving me more and more and more. So at 5 years, I could have $2, $3, $4, $5 million or more worth of available funding to me, right?
For sure.
Okay, but I'm just saying I stayed so conservative. All I used was 50,000 of it, and I'm paying the $1,600 a month back, and then my net is 43. I'm taking that in metals so I can keep growing this asset and keep this momentum moving in this way. Now, are you excited by this, Butch?
I'm blown away.
Did I prove to you that you could literally take other people's money? It didn't have, your money didn't require, because what was the first thing I asked you so we could sit down and have this conversation? I said, if there was a way to accumulate $500,000 in metals with literally over 5 years, without any net zero cost to you. And we just talked about how there's a net zero cost because you didn't have to come out of your own pocket to do this, correct?
Yes.
So a net zero cost to you. This is where we are. Now, Butch, everything I've talked to you about just so far is what's in it for you. Have I talked to you about anything else other than what's going to happen for you?
No.
Okay. Butch, let me ask you a question. If this was happening for you, knowing who you are as a person, what would you do? Would you tell anybody about this? And if you would, who would you tell?
I would work every day to fill stadiums so I can share the news.
So you'd be telling everyone. But initially, when you tell some people that you know, like some friends, some coworkers, because this is happening for you and you're seeing it happen, and you might not have, and I know you, but you wouldn't have waited till 5 years. You'd have just saw the process. Even if you were super skeptical, you just saw, okay, I'm starting to get this. The concierge are working with me. I can see, ooh, I just got this card or this line of credit. Okay, I saw enough. Let me go tell some folks because this is all starting to happen, right? But let me just show you. Let me ask you this. I'm going to stay super conservative here. Now, you're seeing some numbers there, but I don't want you to look at those numbers yet. We're going to go up here. Butch, with what I just showed you, if this was happening for you, and again, right now, everything that we just showed you happens for you, and you don't have to tell a soul. Okay? But if you decided to tell someone, Butch, do you believe you could have one person per month decide they want to do the same thing you're doing?
Oh, sure. Why wouldn't
Okay. Why wouldn't it? Right. One person a month. Butch, at one person a month, are you going to drown in your sweat doing that?
No.
Okay. All right. So we're talking, oops, where did I go? Okay. We're talking oops, I got to get this back. I knew I did something. You know me with these numbers. Okay. All right. So we're going to say you did one person a
So
month.
this call wasn't rehearsed, and I'm trying real hard not to comply with what you want me to say, but I have to say it because it's logical. Everything I've seen is logical.
Right. That's why I'm just being super concerned. So 12 a month now, Butch, because you said you would tell a few people, and do you think any of the people that you would tell have any issue with getting one person per month over a 12-month period of time?
No, but you know, people don't do what I do.
Right. So since they don't do what you do, let's say they only do half of what you do, Butch. Half of what you do. So here's what I'm saying. You got 12, but they want to go get 12 as well, but they've only gotten 6 so far. So you don't have to wait for them to get 12. And then those 6 did half of what their friends or coworkers or contacts told them, and they only went out and had 3 so far. They're trying to get 12, but right now they're only at 3. They're only at 2, and they're only at 1. Which when you did that, do you realize your organization at the end of, and let's say this, which I said this is a year, so this took you a year, but I'm gonna show you something. What if this took you 5 years? Now I'm being crazy because 5 years is 60 months, and 12, you have 60 months to get 12, people. That we're trying to go one every 5 months. I'm making it so conservative, almost ridiculous. But Butch, if you did this, do you realize you'd be at $400 per day from the fourth and most important lever? Because that would generate over $12,000. That generates $12,000 a month just from one of the 10 income streams MWR has.
That's unbelievable. I worked 5 years in my job coming out of college, and I didn't make this kind of money.
Right. So what we're talking about here, Butch, let me show you how this impacts everything. Do you see that? Oh, well, let me do something. Before I do this, Butch, I want to show you something. I just want to show you. I'm going to go back they take these back to 0.
And then
Because I want to show
if
you.
I brought in 12 people and I just set them up to attend meetings like this one right here, where you do all the work of explaining the opportunity, my depreciation won't be 50%, it'll be like 2%.
Right, because everybody's easy to do. So, Butch, I just wanted to show you, by the way, at the end of the 5 years, I forgot to show you this. You receive funds of $250,000 from the bank. That's the bank's money.
Right.
Which you've been paying back. You have almost, there it is right there, just short of $500,000 in metals. That's producing almost $5,000 a month in passive income for you.
And Damo, not to be a tax specialist here, but 100% of the payments are tax deductible too, when you're paying it back.
Absolutely. Because here's what happens. If I take this in metals, see, I've been taking this in metals. Remember, that's what we talked about, and you
Right.
decided you wanted to do the same. Then, Butch, what I haven't done is I've never sold my metals, so there's no taxable event. This is all tax-free.
But my payments back to the bank is tax deductible.
It's tax deductible, 1,000%. Absolutely,
Right.
Butch.
It's an
So I get
expense.
the tax deductibleness of making the payments back to the bank, and then I get income that becomes tax-free because I just kept it in metals and I never sold my metals.
Right.
Now, Butch, so now going back to the example I showed you in lever number 4, and this is the leverage. Again, this is all about leverage. We've shown you leverage in 4 different ways. And remember, I said I'm going to show you 4 ways of that phrase that pays. This is the 4th way. We had 12. And let me take that. And then we said 50%, which I know what you just said. So right here, though, let me show you what happens with that $400 a day. Do you realize that's $16,000 per month? Now, Butch, let me ask you a question. You have your job now at $12,000 a month. Maybe we've allowed you to retire your spouse or yourself. Let's say you retired yourself and you're doing MWR full time now. You love it. You're running this program. Out of your $12,000, if your lifestyle was say $6,000 a month to run your lifestyle, what would you do with the other $6,000 if this is working for you so well?
Yeah, I'd reinvest it exactly in the same model.
Right, you accelerate it, right? Now, Butch, let me ask you a question, because this is one thing I want you to see. is I'm going to show you how you can accelerate things. In fact, Butch, let's do that. Let's just see what happens if you accelerated the model. And instead of 50 every year, you're going to add another $6,000 a month. So you're going to go to 56,000. You're just going to say, all you're doing is, well, that's $6,000 a month. Let's say, because that's $6,000 a month is 72,000. So let's say you're going to put another 60,000. So you're making, you're making 144,000. You're taking 60,000 of that and adding to what we just did. So we're going to take this number and go to 110,000 because you want to accelerate it.
That's the bank's money.
That's the bank's money. I'm sorry, you're right. I got to do it on the other side. Sorry, my bad. Let me go back to
progress. Training in progress.
This is training in progress. Right. So if I can do this and mess Butch, even if I'm messing up and I'm not doing this perfect, are you kind of getting pretty excited?
Oh, I'm fired up right now.
Well, Butch, let me show you.
I'm fired up because I know how real this is. I mean,
right.
I'm trying to separate my emotions from my mind because I want to play along with this exchange. But Ndamo, I mean, I have a 3-hour meeting tomorrow with David Rand at the Prosperity Min office to schedule this actual implementation to make sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed.
Right.
I mean, we're sitting kneecap to kneecap in the same room tomorrow. The funding guy, which is me, and the metal guy, which is him. And the only thing we're doing is creating the perfect storm for MWR. So I know this. So I feel like I'm cheating because I'm watching this thing and I'm going, he is super conservative. He's playing it so small in these numbers.
I know, and Butch, this is what I want you to see. Because you decided to use some of your MWR money to accelerate this, Butch, now look at, because you already know how the process goes, look at where your metals went to. Let's look at the final numbers here so it makes it easy. You almost have $1 million worth of metals on its own, and you're generating $21,000 per month in passive income. Now, you could say, I'm putting that more in metals because the metals are making me money, but that's what you're doing. So then, Butch, if all of a sudden I look up and I say, oh, by the way, because you're picking up another 12. So we're actually, this is about you're about $9,000 a month in precious metal, in passive income. Now, when you add your income to it, it's 21,000. Butch, and here's what's crazy. Here's what I want you to see. Butch, over 5 years, because we're talking 5 years now. And if I told you, Butch, the only way they can receive this income here, this $400 a day in this example, the only way anybody can receive any income from MWR to experience this part of the profit, to experience this monthly profit right here that we talked about in this line number 2, the only way you can do that, Butch, is you have to be a member of MWR to even have access to even be able to purchase the metals and do this program. Butch, if I told you this membership was only $149.97 per month, is that even a thought for you?
No, that's an expense too.
Right, that's an expense you get to write off. And Butch, if you knew that all I have to do is pay that and they're going to keep paying me all this, would you ever not make that payment?
No.
Would you ever quit?
No.
Okay, so Butch, if that's the case, and we're doing that again, and I'm keeping this super conservative, if all you did, Butch, this is going to blow your mind a little bit, but if all you did was, now it took 5 years for everybody to catch up with what you did in year 1. And oh, by the way, in year 1, doing something that does not make sense, and certainly doesn't make sense to you, Butch, I'm saying everything stopped. You didn't do another thing. You didn't let anybody else. All the people that came to you to say, I want in, you said no. It's just the 12. I did my 12. That's it. But do you realize if you had 0%, if they all got their 12 people over 5 years, let me show you what would happen to your numbers, Butch. You'd be making $15,000 a day from MWR at $450,000 per month, but that would show you at $459,000 per month. But Butch, let me ask you a question. If you're making $450,000 per month just from our luxury residual, one income stream, that's over $5 million a year. Butch, if you said, I need to live a little better than I've lived, I need to do some things, Butch, and let's say you were living on $2 million a year. Can we put and let's say if we took tax out and all that, let's just say you $1 million a year. Right now you've been living on 100,000, but $1 million a year, I can live well. Would you agree with that statement, Butch? And where you live in the part of the country you live in, can you live well on $1 million a year?
For sure.
And in any part of the country, anybody can live well on $1 million a year. But so if you took, say, 3 million of your 5, or do you want me to split the difference and call it 2.5?
Either one's good.
So now we're going to go from 5 years to 10 years, right? Let's just do something here. But I'm going to show you, Butch, and I got to do it the right way. I've learned. Look how fast I learned. I'm just going to keep it. I got to stay conservative, Butch. I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn this into where I'm buying $1 million. And let me do this. $1 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So $1 million annually is what, because I'm making this kind of money. I'm putting $1 million back into this program. But at the end of the next 5 years, if I want to do it that way, because this certainly can happen. This is real numbers that can happen in the first 5 years. I've acquired over $8 million in precious metals, Butch, and I literally, my initial funding balance, because now this actually has to go up though. That's the one thing I didn't do, because no, this doesn't go up. This is the money I just got from. I didn't even use the bank's money because I've been using my money because I'm making so much more. I just wanted to accelerate everything, so I just showed you the acceleration, Butch. And here's something that's interesting because I've kept it conservative. And I've said this is 5 years. Now I'm showing you 10 years. If this could happen for you in 10 years, Butch, not knowing what you know, because I'm going to ask you what you know. But if this could happen in 10 years, Butch, for you, is it worth it?
1,000,000,000%.
Butch, if you had to go in the very beginning, because you were just getting started, and let's say you had some credit issues personally, you had some other things going on, but you had to go get a business address, you had to go get a business email, you had to go get a business bank account, and you had to do some of these things. And if you had to, then they say, we're going to give you some credit cards, but you got to use these credit cards to pay for things. So instead of the credit cards you used to use these to pay for things. Would that be worth jumping over those hurdles to get here?
Can I be real honest for a second?
Yes, I want you to.
Can I?
And this time I want you to talk, don't talk to Mike. Mike, come on, because you're the person that said, man, I got to do all this extra stuff. I'm going to let Butch talk to you.
I'm going to put my fungible hat on for a second.
Yeah, I want you to put your fungible hat on. Okay.
So here's what I think. People don't know what they don't know. Conversations like what you just shared with us here for the last half hour, these are not being shared anywhere else in the world, let alone this country. No one is having this conversation right now. This is absolute secret, but it's also absolutely exclusive to this organization. And Damo, I speak at a conference every single week for different businesses, different networks, different groups, and we've been in business for a long time. And we've been dealing with mainstream businesses for a long time. Our conversations with them are very different. We're not talking about, hey, do you have an email address? Do you have a website? We're just assuming all of those things are in place. And these companies that are lining up to do business with us, all they can do is borrow money, spend it down, and pay it back. It's a hamster wheel. Borrow money, spend it down, and pay it back. It's a very linear approach. But those business owners feel so fortunate to have access to money, they're willing to go do whatever it is we tell them. So I'm going to be real for a second. We have the most amazing, what you just shared the last 40 minutes. It's math. Math is absolute. It's not your opinion. It's definitely not mine, right? Neither of us are Chinese, so math's not our thing. But here's the reality. It's absolute. You use super conservative numbers, 50 grand to start. Here's what's interesting. If you showed no more growth after that 50 grand, it's still positive arbitrage.
Right.
If you showed 10, 12% interest rates on the loans, it's still positive arbitrage. If you showed 0% appreciation in those metals, it's still positive arbitrage. Your lever that you showed was so conservative that if you truly wanted to let it go, it would do 20 times in half the time. But here's the difference. We bring this to MWR, and it's the most precious gift right now. We can truly transform wealth, change legacies, rewrite history. I'm sitting with David tomorrow for 3 hours. David's a genius when it comes to precious metals. And I say this, Andamo, if we tested his IQ, he would test off the charts. He is one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. What he's pulled off with the leasing contracts is unheard of in that space. What we're doing with the funding contracts with Fundable 360 is unheard of in that space. But granted, we're still taking this plane off in the air, and we're building it in the air for a new group of entrepreneurs within MWR. And maybe they weren't structured the right way all together all at the same time, right? Maybe they had to learn about the difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. But here's what I would say to this group. So what? Let's learn it. Let's learn it. You just showed us the keys to the kingdom. Now you're asking me if I was willing to go set up a business mailing address, a phone number. Andamo, you could ask me if I would give up one of my 2 kidneys, and I would have said yes. Because you just showed me how to make $500,000 a month inside of 10 years. A path that I have never been on, and no one else has stopped at my door to share with me. So if I got to jump through a few hoops, get a phone number, answer a few emails, get a business address, walk 6 miles on my knees, say 12 rosaries on a Sunday, so what? I've worked harder for other people and made less.
100%. And Butch, do you realize, and I know you're meeting with David tomorrow, you talked about how brilliant he is, and something that I don't think our people don't really truly understand. He has, when you said that this doesn't happen, this doesn't exist in the world, what he's pulled off just has never happened before. Do you realize he has other countries that are bringing their metals over to put in his depository because they want this and they get it like that. They're like, and they're not playing small. They are talking metric ton here. We're bringing that over. That's what's happening right now behind the scenes. And so I think sometimes, Butch, people have gone after things. They put their heart out. They thought about something. They went for something one time. They stuck their neck out. They thought, okay, this is really it for me. And they got it chopped off. It wasn't the opportunity they thought. And they got so disappointed. They worried about what other people thought and said about them. They were so disappointed that sometimes they suffered so heavily from the shaft syndrome that even when something is real, because one of the things that happens, what I love is when someone says, Andamo, I have someone that's really skeptical about this. I go, fantastic. Because when they hear what they have to do, and you're dealing with real banks, you're dealing with real companies doing real things, there's no way a 115-year-old asset management company who was one of the founding members of the New York Stock Exchange would ever decide they want to partner, not just facilitate. They wouldn't even, if this was something crazy, they wouldn't even facilitate the process, number one. But then to partner, because they see the brilliance of our precious metals expert. They see what you're doing to help facilitate this. This is the shift that everybody's prayed for and has waited for their whole lives. They just can't be afraid of what it is. And I like to say, don't put a question mark where God put a period. Because I have my kids, we had a family meeting just this past weekend, and obviously it was, you know what happened. There was a lot of other stuff going on, but we talked about this a little bit, saying, okay, it's not, you see, granddaddy's not here anymore, so we got to get after this. Everybody, you're going to see Brooke come through, Rico, Austin, Gayla, we're all doing it because it just makes way too much sense. So to move things as a family, so we can look up and we can say, you know what? We're the ones, because in every single, I don't care what pioneer or what titan of industry you want to go to, there was one person that stood up and said, you know what? I'm changing this for my family. I see something here. This is not, and I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to run with it. And my family's history and legacy will change. And it starts with me. And that's where it's so remarkable how unique the timing is for those that are in MWR already. That's amazing. And
Good
but you've
blessing.
seen, you've been a part of a company that was kind of founded and pioneered and then saw it take off and explode people's incomes beyond compare. And it wasn't even close to what we're talking about.
Not even close, not as real. A lot of that was manufactured. Everything here is math and it's concrete. And you said it a while ago, Adamo, if I didn't take the opportunity to anybody else, I'm still $500,000 better off leveraging somebody else's money. I mean, drop the mic, right?
He had nothing else to say. So in fact, I'll leave it there because Mike, why don't you come back on? Let us see you as well. You're on mute, I think. You're muted out. I don't hear you.
Sorry, I was double muted. Let me see if, oh, there we go. I can add myself to the screen.
Yes.
Absolutely unbelievable. And I promised everyone that we're going to see someone get recruited. I think
I'm in.
I think Butch is in.
I am
Now,
in.
now I need for you to train him. Training.
Here's training.
You
Butch,
need to learn the phrase that pays 4 ways.
this is the phrase that pays 4 ways, Butch, and this is training. So I'm going to do this, Butch, so it makes it real easy for you. I'm going to text this to you. I'm going to read it first. Then, Butch, I want you to read it to me to see if you got it. Okay, so I'm going to text this right now. This is fun. This is in the moment. This is training. So you guys are really seeing training. The
I know
whole
Butch knows
system.
the first half of the sentence. I've heard him say it
If,
1,000 times
there we
already.
go.
Oh, he says it all the time. Now he has it. So Butch, I'm going to
say
read it
this.
first. So I'm going to do it first. So Butch, if there was a way to accumulate $500,000 of precious metals in 5 years and your net cost was 0, would you want to know more? So Butch, that's the phrase that pays in 4 ways. So Butch, let me hear you do that. I just texted to you. I know you just saw it, so you can read it. But read that to me.
Can learn the words to Barney. I can learn this, right? So, hey, Adamo, if there was a way to accumulate $500,000 of precious metals in 5 years and your net cost was 0, would you like to know more?
Yes. And Butch, that is a question that no one, 100% of people will say yes to. Because if they didn't, you got to run from that person because something's wildly wrong with them and you don't want to catch it. So I think, Mike, we have summed this up.
We're done.
I don't think there's anything more left to say, but I really appreciate though that you letting us know that you're meeting with David tomorrow and then what's happening and how this is so exclusive and so unique. It's what I've always wanted and prayed for, and I appreciate your part that you're playing in this, which is a major part. And then obviously we appreciate David and what his role in this, and even allowing us to be a part of that whole process, which is phenomenal. So this is an absolute blessing. And you know what, Mike? You know what I know will happen to those that make it and see it and they run with it and they just run with their hair on fire. We'll see them on the beaches of the world. And you know why we'll be able to see them? Why we'll see them there? Because not only will we be there, but they'll be there because we can all afford it, right? But you know what else we'll do? We'll see them at the bank. But you know something? At the MWR Bank, I want you all to understand this is not the regular bank because they don't just count our money, they weigh it.
I love it.
All right, everyone. Have a great night.
You're the best, brother.
Thanks, brother.